Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 244, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. I go least favorite to my pick of the week. So let's get started. This week was 19 comics, and number 19 for me, sadly, was Hack and Slash Resurrection issue 7. This issue just was very much a filler to get to the next arc, and I wasn't really entertained with it, and still not the biggest fan of the art style. I think it worked for the last arc just because I loved the story so much, but with the story kind of being, again, fillerish, I didn't really care for the artwork either. I will say, though, it was cool to see that on the trade. One of my Newsarama quotes was there, so that was pretty awesome. But yeah, gave this one 2 stars. Moving on to number 18, which is no surprise because this has been pretty low every week, and that is Justice League No Justice issue 4. Happy to see this event over and just see what the titles have to bring me. Just thought it was way too crowded and not really a necessary setup. I just could have went into these issues probably not reading this. So I did like Francis Mountpool's artwork though. I'm a big fan of his, so that was definitely one of the positives, but there was just so much going on in the story and even in the artwork that was hard to enjoy. So I gave this one 2 stars, and that is number 18. Moving on to number 17, which is Infinity Countdown Captain Marvel issue 1, which I believe is a one-shot, and I'm not reading Infinity Countdown. I thought this would be a little bit more new reader friendly than it was. I mean, obviously I understood it because I know what this, the stones are, the gems, so... But this one, I thought also a book that just had way too much going on for it. Here's this reality, that reality, Captain Marvel doesn't know what reality is. Just way too much. And also the artwork, for me, just didn't do it. Didn't really like the facial expressions that much. I did like this page, though. It was actually a page I did enjoy. But overall, just didn't really love the facial expressions. So I gave this one 2.5 stars. Wasn't my thing. Wanted to pick it up because it was Captain Marvel, but... I would say if you're reading the event, you might enjoy that one a little bit more, or you might not. I don't know. But going on to number 16, which is Green Arrow Annual Issue 2. I haven't picked up Green Arrow in a while, but the Bensons are taking over Green Arrow, and this is their first issue doing so, and I decided to pick it up, and it was okay. It was tied into No Justice, which, as you saw, not a big fan of that event, so... I think it was better than the No Justice miniseries or event, but still wasn't really feeling it. Not a good judge if, I like the creative team yet, because again, it was tied to No Justice, but I will give a couple issues of the Bensons a try for Green Arrow, because I do like their work on Birds of Prey. And it was cool to see Batgirl here. Alright, moving on to number 15. Which is Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, issue 19. Very much a filler issue. It's just them back in the past, MJ and Peter going on a cruise, and things go wrong. It felt very generic, like, sadly, most of what the series has been lately, just tells we've seen before. There's nothing that really truly stands out, and the artwork is not doing it for me. I thought it was very messy, the art style. Annie's hair looked really weird in the beginning of the issue. I just wasn't feeling this kind of simplistic art style they were going for. I haven't really liked the colors for this book either. So overall, I gave this 2.5 stars. There's elements that are fun with it. I like seeing MJ and Peter interact, which is why it wasn't lower than I guess it could have been. But still, the series is not doing what I wish it was, and kind of bringing its own personality to it. So I gave that number 15, now it's 2.5 stars. Moving on to number 14, which is Barrier issue 5. This is the last issue of this weekly series of Vaughn's webcomic, I think it was. And I love the concept of this book, but I don't know if the execution fully did it for me, but I do love, again, the concept of, the actual language barrier they see in this event that they are witnessing together, and then they kind of learn about each other by the end, but then you have this really open-ended cliffhanger. I'm just like, where are you going to go with this? So overall, I think this could have been a really strong one-shot, and maybe a little bit too lengthy for a mini-series, so gave this one 2.5 stars. Moving on to number 13, which is Batman Prelude to the Wedding, issue 1, Robin vs. Ra's al Ghul. I'll be getting all these issues because I'm excited for the wedding. The artwork, didn't really like the facial expressions for a lot of the issue, but overall, besides the facial expressions, like Damien's face there, I did like the style for the most part. I thought the action was pretty well done, but I liked parts of this issue. I liked Catwoman and Robin's relationship by the end, but I thought it kind of went into left field when we saw Catwoman's son and not seeing a lot of Ra's al Ghul here like I expected. I got the gist of what they were trying to do with the connection, but I think that could have been a bit stronger for people who were expecting a little bit more al Ghul in this issue than actually happened. So overall I gave this 3 stars. I still think it's worth picking up for the Catwoman Robin stuff, but only if you're a hardcore Batman fan or a hardcore fan of those characters. Alright, moving on to number 12, which is Marvel 2-in-1 issue 6. A little lower than it usually is, but the artwork is still gorgeous. This just was more of an action-packed issue. I felt like last issue definitely had more surprises and character moments, but still really liked Emma Frost in this issue. Dr. Doom kind of does exactly what you expect here, and I want to see more of Reed and Sue. We got to see a little bit here with them, and obviously we got scenes, but I want to see even more of them working together. So overall, I gave this one 3.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 11, which is Jughead The Hunger, issue 6. I thought the artwork for the first half was a little off for me, because it is, there's usually, I think, like 3 artists on here, but I thought Archie's hair looked a little out there. I don't know how hair does that. I've been talking a lot about hair in this video, but I like the concept. I love that Jughead and Archie are reconnecting, and Betty's gonna have to make a decision. Will she help Jughead or not? And then there's just a lot of werewolves that they're going to have to go up against. So, overall, gave this one 3.5 stars. It was a good issue, but again, the artwork was a little off for me in the beginning. Alright. Moving on to number 10, which is Doomsday Clock, issue 5. You know, lower than you want Doomsday Clock to be, but I love the artwork. Artwork is just so detailed and so good, and obviously the 9-panel grid is great, and just the callbacks to Watchmen are really good. But I just thought there was too many characters here. I didn't really get as much meat as I wanted to, especially because we have to wait so long for the issues. And it's a little slower than I expected. I don't know if this needed to be a 12-issue miniseries, but there are some nice surprises, like seeing Saturn Girl doing her thing was cool. I really like the last page with our Joker-like characters from Watchmen universe meeting Joker himself. I thought was good. Lois being in this issue, I liked her and kind of the politics that worked there. And I guess the Superman theory thing was interesting. But yeah, overall I gave this 3.5 stars. Not the most impressive of the series so far. Alright, moving on. To number 9, another book I usually don't get, but it was an annual and it seemed like a cool one-shot, and that was X-Men Red Annual, issue 1. And it just fully was Jean, and if you like Jean, I think you'll really enjoy it. Artwork was interesting, very watercolory, and I feel like I wish the pencils were a little bit stronger for the coloring, and I think then it would have popped more, but I like the story. I like Jean adjusting. I really love her interaction with Laura and Gabby. It was a fun issue overall. I give it 3.5 stars, and if you're a Jean fan, definitely pick this one up. And in my opinion, actually the strongest of the X-Men Red issues from what I've read. Alright, moving on to number 9, which is Vampironica, issue 2. Another issue I kind of wish was higher, but I thought the Dilton and Veronica stuff was really cool. I like that they're becoming friends. It just was a slower issue because this was delayed a lot for the series, and I don't know how to feel about Betty and Archie in this series. I know it's from Veronica's point of view, so they're supposed to kind of feel like the villains, but I always like when Betty and Veronica are somewhat friends, but now it's just like Betty just seems like, oh, you know, I want to make out with Archie and spite Veronica, but maybe because that's her point of view, I don't know, but I hope they become better characters. But I do like Reggie just feeding off of the cheerleaders, so it's definitely setting up for some interesting stuff, but it was a little slower paced here, so and giving that 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 7, which is Man of Steel, issue 1. Very solid issue. I did in-depth review, so I won't go too far into detail. But I really liked Bendis' voice on this book. The villain I'm still getting used to. I don't know how to feel about changing Krypton's history, but I really like Clark here. And just some of the small moments, like him listening to a music cover and really liking it. And obviously what happened to Lois, you know, that mystery going on. And the artwork is so good in this series as well. So overall, I thought it was a really solid start. I'm going to give that 4 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Saga issue 52. And it's just Saga, you know, it's always a solid read, always a fun read, really quick read all the time. I always want more from it, especially because I originally read this in trade and like had the whole omnibus, and they all feel like small scenes to a bigger picture, even more than I think other comics. It definitely feels very cinematic, this series. And Fiona Staples rocks it all the time for this book, and you know, their partnership's really well done and really have a good mix of characters here. So overall, I gave this one 4 stars. It was a good continuation, and in the ending, what is Hazel going to get kidnapped? We'll see what, I forget his name, I think Prince Robot, what his loyalty will be by the end. I'm excited to see, is he going to be the good guy or the bad guy in the end? Alright, moving on to number 5. We are in top 5 now. Love this cover. Spider-Gwen, issue 32. Really solid issue. We get to see Gwen reveal that she is Spider-Gwen to the world. And it's everyone's reaction. Ben kind of being upset about it. We get to see the Mary Janes help out Gwen, defeat Matt Murdock. And by the end, she's like, yeah, I'm okay with being arrested. And I just love Latour's voice, and I love this creative team, and it's such a good book, and I'm sad it's ending, but it's just been such a good run. So I gave this 4 stars, and that's number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 800. I gotta say, I love my top 4, so this is really hard, and I love this book. But there were times where I thought the artwork was a little sketchy, and one thing I'll say, it's $10, and I felt like some pages could have been taken out. But I love the story. I love that it had to do with the supporting characters and Flash Thompson. Oh my god. I got teary-eyed. There are so many great lines from him. And between Peter, it's a really emotional issue. Great action between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And again, it was great seeing pretty much every supporting character do something here. And, you know, you had the J. Jonah Jameson moment where he shoots, almost wants to kill, well, he does want to kill Green Goblin, but almost does so, but then Peter does the Peter thing and blocks the bullet. There's just a lot of great stuff that happens here, and I can't wait to see 801, to see the final issue, what Dan Slott last words will be with Spider-Man. So overall, I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. Really well done book, and yeah, I think it accomplished a lot there. So moving on to number 3, which is We Are the Danger, issue 1. I had a blast reading this. I was a big fan of heavy metal and Hi-Fi Fight Club from Boom last year, and this feels like it's going to fill up that gap. If you're a music fan, buy this. Also, if you like the Archies, I think this will fill that gap very well too. It's them forming the band. It's this new girl. She loves music. She meets up with this other girl from her school. She sees her at a show. She thinks she's awesome. And then they end up like, you know, creating a band, and it's so badass. And then you have the rivalry against, what was her name? I think like Logan or something. Someone with an L. Let me see what her name is. Yeah, it was Logan. I was correct. And the artwork is so good. And it feels like a mixtape. You know, you even have like this beginning, I hope it's in every issue, where you have the title of track 1, track 2, what's gonna happen. The aesthetic of it just feels rock and roll and music influenced, which is exactly what you want from a book like this. I love when music can be infused into a comic, and I loved all the characters right away, and I'm really excited to read more of this book. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. Definitely pick this one up. Don't let it slip by. I really think it could be the next Archies and Hi-Fi for me. Alright, moving on to number 2, which is Kill or Be Killed, issue 19, the penultimate issue of this series. I'm upset because I really do like this series a lot, But damn, did it end well. I love that it's the detective and him, you know, Dylan, working together and trying to defeat the Russians. And I like that Dylan ends up using his her first name. So it seems like, you know, I guess they get to know each other a little bit more. But then in the end, we get the cliffhanger that he dies. So, you know, who's going to take over the narration? Will it be the detective? There's some really cool stuff that happens here, and I can't wait to see what the last issue has to bring us. And I just love Dylan's voice. He's such a great character. So I gave that 4.5 stars. Moving on to number 1, which is Miss Marvel, issue 30. Love this book. Really enjoyed this arc. Anything that has to do with the Doc X/Troll stuff, always wins it for me. It's one of my favorite arcs from Miss Marvel. And with this issue, I liked it was Kamala dealing with the Red Dagger stuff. Seems like there's some promise with Miss Marvel, or, you know, Kamala and Bruno. Like that stuff. But once again, the shining character here is Zoe. I've grown to love this character. Just to the point where she finds out her crush is a supervillain, and she's right in the forefront wanting to defeat her. And it's really her saying, hey, she's a supervillain. And I really was, you know, touched by the ending of the issue as well, where she's looking around and she sees, you know, I fell in love with Nakia, that didn't work out, fell in love with a supervillain, you know, am I ever going to be loved? And then she finds a new love interest and they end up dancing. I thought that was such a good moment, and Zoe totally deserved it. And I love how kind of meta this issue is as well. If you've ever read a teen book with a genre element or watched a teen show with a genre element, if there's a dance, something's gonna happen. It's not gonna be a good dance, or even any teen show really. Something's gonna go down. And I love that it's Zoe, Nakia, and Mike knowing that. They're like, there's the dance, we're just gonna go there, because you know the supervillain's gonna do something there. So it knows what it is. It's so good. I love the artwork for this book as well. I think Nico Leon really fits the style well. And then you have Ian Herring's coloring that's just been on the book forever, and just, it's Miss Marvel, you know, it just fits this tone. But I love this issue. It was really well done, and I can't wait to see more from these characters, just because it shows how much these characters have grown. I love the little line, which you're probably going to see my top 5 panels for this week, where we get to see the troll describe, you know, this school's so boring, the quarterback has disappeared, which was Josh, and then it's like, oh, and Zoe, who was the ex-head cheerleader, dyed her hair pink and likes girls, and it just shows, like, these characters have changed. 2 characters that probably could have been background characters, really have developed, and that's why, you know, I love Josh, I love Zoe, but Zoe especially, she's probably the supporting character that has developed the most, and I love seeing her in every issue, and this is a really good issue for her. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what was your least favorite comic, what was your pick of the week, and everything in between. And I will see you guys next week. And this is Comic Uno, like I said. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links to my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.